Hello everyone, welcome back to Soccer Showdown. Joe Archino and Martino Puccio here with you as always. We are almost at the final of the UEFA Champions League. On May 26th, Real Madrid will take on Liverpool in a match that everyone around the world will be watching. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about how these two teams got there. First, let's talk about Real Madrid and Bayern Munich just the other day, the second leg of their semifinal. It was a draw 2-2. Benzema with a brace, but Real Madrid, they advanced on aggregate 4-3. Martino, what did you make of Real Madrid's performance against Bayern Munich? They're now trying to make it 3 in a row where they're hosting up that trophy.
I don't think they were as dominant as they've been in recent years, especially last year. I think last year's team really took advantage of all the opportunities that they had. Not to say that this team didn't. I really felt like Bayern kind of gifted them these goals, especially in the second leg at the Bernabeu. I mean, that second goal that Benzema scored, there was the miscommunication on the pass back. I don't know what the keeper for Bayern was doing. I think he was trying to I don't know what that was. That cost them the semifinal and actually the final itself to let them go there, because they did play well once again like they did last year. Because we saw Bayern. They had a difficult call against them when Vidal had the red card in the Bernabeu last year as well, the game that went to overtime. But I mean, it's just Real Madrid again taking advantage of their opportunities. And the craziest part is Cristiano Ronaldo was nowhere to be seen over the two legs. And if your best player and one of the best players of all time is not performing that well, and you're going through like this against a team like Bayern, I mean, how can you not go against this team? It's so superb, and they're doing it time and time again. Even though they're not doing that great in La Liga, it's still this competition. It's theirs.
Well, that's the funny thing. You mentioned Ronaldo, and certainly it wasn't his strongest performance, but he's been sensational in the Champions League this season. And if there's one thing you could say about Real Madrid, and it certainly hasn't been the prettiest season that they're used to, they've been a very resilient bunch this season, and sometimes that's all you need. Let's go on to our next semifinal, second leg, and that was Liverpool. They advanced 7-6 on aggregate against Roma. This one was a goal fest. There was a lot of goals in this one. Roma needed basically a miracle to get a chance here, and they almost had it. Martino, what did you make of this just back and forth in crazy game between Roma and Liverpool?
Well, if you watched last week's episode with Joe D over there in the control room now, we talked about how it was going to be an up-and-down game because Roma were down 3 goals. They gave up a lot against Liverpool at their place. So to come back home, they had to be on the attack all the time. And what eventually happened was they got caught on the counter, and Mane put one in. And the fact that I don't even want to get to the referee point and some of the calls that weren't made or weren't made. I think the fact of the matter was that they were 7 goals allowed there, 13 in total by both teams. I don't think either team played particularly well enough on the defensive side of the ball to warrant a clear advancement to the finals. So I think that's something you had to look at. But again, I think it's a really impressive season for Roma. This was the best they ever did in the Champions League. And I think it's good to carry over into next season because they believe that they're in any game. Most teams, after a 5-2 result away, don't feel as confident coming back home. But after that Barcelona tie, they felt like they were able to do anything. So I thought that was important. But what could you say about Liverpool and Mo Salah? Mo Salah right now, if he somehow wills Liverpool to a Champions League final victory, their first one in 13 years, and he somehow does something with Egypt in the World Cup, we might be looking at a new Ballon d'Or winner. It might really be hard to say no to that.
I was thinking of that the other day. It's been so long since it hasn't been a Ronaldo or a Messi who's held up the Ballon d'Or. But if he wills and leads them to the Champions League and they win it, how could he not be? He has been as good as anyone this season, which takes us to our setup for the final. You know who it's going to be. May 26th, Real Madrid against Liverpool, 2 gigantic clubs who have been in this competition time and time again. Now, Real Madrid has won the last 2. Liverpool is in the final for the first time since 2007. So they really are going to do what they can. But Jurgen Klopp hasn't had the greatest success when it's come to finals. He's lost his last 5 in finals or major competitions. So let's talk about Liverpool for a minute, Martino. Sure. I think a lot of people right now are going on Real Madrid's side, picking them to win. But this is a Liverpool side that has been extremely dangerous. Do they have the depth? Do they have the balance to beat Real Madrid?
I think they do. I think they have enough. And we were talking about how on this show all the time about how great City has looked. and how amazing they've been. They were one of the best teams to probably not advance this far in the competition. And Liverpool absolutely destroyed them. They took care of a Roma team that was absolutely stout at home all season long. They got a couple goals there. Barcelona had difficulties there. Chelsea had difficulties there. So I think they did really well there. To me, though, it's all about Mo Salah. If Mo Salah steps up on the biggest stage, I think they're going to be able to go there, because the same story we were just talking about with Real Madrid. If it's not Cristiano, it's Angel Di Maria stepping up. It's Gareth Bale. It's Isco. It's Marcelo. Or even Karim Benzema that just happened in the past leg. Liverpool cannot afford Mo Salah to have a poor game in this final. Real Madrid can probably be okay with that if it's not Cristiano Ronaldo, but that's the level that they're at. That's the standard that they're at. So Liverpool, they don't have to play perfect, but they do. But Mo Salah might have to.
Let's talk about Ronaldo, because like we said, he has been as good can get in the competition this season. He's been money. I mean, time and time again, he has come up for Real Madrid. We look at the final last year. Ronaldo had some ups and downs last season as well. He's getting older. It's bound to happen. But when the lights were the brightest, he was the best player on the pitch, like he has been so many times throughout his career. Do you expect another one of those memorable and unforgettable performances from Ronaldo?
I think so. And like we were saying, 15 points behind Barcelona in the league, that's really not something they're competing for at this point. It's just for this. It's for history. 3 in a row would be the first time in modern Champions League history in this specific competition. It would be the first time since Liverpool in the 80s to do a three-peat. This is really historical, despite what they might be doing outside of the Champions League. This right here means a lot. And this is something that Messi hasn't done, and you know Cristiano Ronaldo's thinking about that. And that's something that he's going to want as opposed to Messi. So I expect a big game from him. Like you said, lights are bright. Cristiano shows up, and I think it might be Real Madrid.
If this turns into the goal fest we all expect it to be, who do you think it favors more?
I think it's Real Madrid. So much more firepower. It's not to say that Liverpool doesn't. It's just that if Asensio or Karim Benzema or even Marcelo are my 4th or 5th options, I mean, how can you go against that? And it's not to say that Mo Salah and Mane and all these other guys on Liverpool are fantastic. It's just Real Madrid has the firepower. They've been there before in the final. A lot of these Liverpool players haven't, so the moment might be too big for them.
So that's it? You're locking it in? You're locking it in for Real Madrid?
It's a three-peat.
You know, I know people on shows don't like when the hosts always agree with each other, but for me, you've heard me say it before, and I'm always someone who believes in that philosophy, is you don't bet against the best player in the world. And look, I think Messi and Ronaldo, it's always a coin flip between the two of them. But when I have a guy like that, and I know what he does when everyone is watching, when the moment matters the most, very hard for me to pick against him, and I won't. I think Real Madrid gets it done. I think that we will see some goals in this game. But again, Liverpool, this is a big moment for them. But Real Madrid has been here. They've done it. Ronaldo, I think he cashes it in, and he adds another trophy to that cabinet. But that is all that we have for you on this episode of Soccer Showdown. It's been a blast covering the Champions League and talking about it with you this season. He's Martino Puccio. I'm Joe Archino. Everyone, thank you for listening as always.